So in old Max, it hasn't been running, and I found out that there's a thing with the timing belt that I've had set up thinking all the number ones and the lines should be lined up, and with this particular model and engine, the top gear is supposed to be lined up on 2. So I'm going to take off the rocker cover, front cover, try and rotate it around to get top dead center down on the bottom shaft. Then I can take the belt off and just rotate the top around, check all my gaps. So here we go. One thing you find, I was hoping just to take this cover off so I could see the top and see the belt, but the final bolt for that is down behind the bracket for the fan belt, which means I've got to loosen the alternator so that I can take off the fan. I think I've got to take the whole fan off and everything, so you can, because there's 3 bolts on this bracket and the bracket sits right in front of the last bolt for this, so it's going to all have to come off. Fan is out, pulley is out, fan belt is out, so I could get this bracket out to get to the last nut. Shouldn't say nut, it's a bolt. That one. So that I could get that off. Now I can see. Oh, I'll still have to take the actual, taking the pulley off, but the bracket that holds that I'll need to take off as well, because that's in front of the tensioning pulley. That bit. You know what, I think I'll take the bottom plastic cover off, because I don't think I can get it both. I wouldn't be able to get to both nuts on the both bolts on the tensioning pulley. The annoying thing about this is all of this is going to have to go back on before I can test it out. Only 2 for that one. That one covers the bottom and has the, this is the trouble, it's got the timing mark. I know roughly where that mark should be. The rocker cover's off. All of this area is uncovered. This is the tensioning pulley. And what I'm going to do is, there's a 19mm bolt in the middle of this, and I'm going to hand crank the engine until I get the bottom timing mark in the right spot, which I know will be when the number 1 comes up in here, because that's how I've had it set up so far. Apologies, it's not a 19, it's a 21. So you can see this top wheel cranking. Seems I've got a bit of compression in there, so I better undo all the sockets. Couldn't remember if I'd put new spark plugs in here or not, but I had. Having it out of gear helps. Okay, so yeah, so 1 and 4 are at the top, 2 and 3 are down the bottom. which means my timing mark down here is right. So, what I found out from being in an Econovan group on Facebook, they had a manual and it showed that this number 1, that you can just see here, you would think, okay, everything needs to be on number 1. Top dead center on the right mark, this ready to fire on 1. And this on 1 means that 1 should be ready to fire. Apparently that's not right. It's meant to be 2. Well, part of that's not making sense to me, but I'm going to loosen this belt off and have a ponder. What size is that one? Hardest part here is remembering all the sizes. So many of the nuts are 12s, then there's 10s, then there's 14s. There's that 21 down the bottom. I know there's 19 is underneath. This, I think, might be 17. 17? Yep. So now, turning this one means I'm only doing any work to the head right now. I'm not doing anything else to the bottom end of the engine. Let's pop back. Get the arrow lined up with the arrow. I'm just looking at the cam lobes. Because I honestly think that the cam lobes are more important than the number. I'll wind it back around to 1. Because with that at 1, cam lobes should be both down, which they are. This is a 1, 3, 4, 2. Right, work with me here. 1's about to fire. As 1 fires, it pushes down, the middle ones pump up, which means that 3 is going to be the next one to fire. 2 has just fired, so it's now pushing up on the exhaust. As I bring this around for 2 coming up, the exhaust is being opened, which is right. So come around to 2, exhaust opened, 3 at top dead center, 1, 3, 3 is going to punch down. That's forcing 1 back up, exhaust is open. Now, 4, both cam lobes down, it's at top dead center. It's about to punch down. 2, 2 has intake open, sucking in the fuel as that's being pushed down. bringing to the top dead center. 1, 3, 4, 2. And the one cam back. Don't know quite what to tell you. I was going to come up here and blindly just follow what I read in that group, that this needed to be around on 2, but winding it around from this one, that's when this is at top dead center. They're both closed, so it's about to fire down, and I wound it around and it went 1, 3, 4, 2, and 1, 3, 4, 2, in all of that sort of order in terms of the exhaust and the compression and everything like that. So that's all set up right with that on 1. So I've got my marker set at top dead center again, because that's where this first piston is. I've got the tensioner back on. I started marking around my distributor cap where the actual pins were from the outside, so I could see without having this on here. And so when I wound it around to, you know, the second firer, which is 3 right here, I've got that lined up directly with it. I've got the bolt. I've got this set so the bolt's in the center. I've got a little bit of play both ways for when I'm adjusting the firing time, the timing. I'm going to put all my covers back on, put the fan belt back on, put the fan on, put all the spark plugs in. The gaps are fine on the spark plugs. Put the rocker cover on because I don't want stuff flying everywhere. I'm basically going to put it all back together, get the battery and my booster starter battery, and I'm going to try it. Because according to all this, it should run. It should run. It's a mechanical fuel pump. That's working. See what happens. Got it running. The fuel pump wasn't sucking any fuel through, so I took the hoses off and blew in each one until it caused some pressure in the tank, which forced the fuel back in. Put the hoses back on, jump started it using the truck, and it started running. But see how it wants to die there? That's a really fine idle. I'll fiddle with the timing. That's in the middle. Then to the middle. Yeah.